Hi, friends. It's Rebecca, and today's the second Sunday of Advent. Do you remember what Advent is? It's the time of the year when we prepare to celebrate and remember Jesus's birth. We do that by thinking about the story of his birth, the people who loved him when he was born, where he was born, how he was born, and we decorate and we sing songs, and we have lots of ways that we remind ourselves of this important story. Today, we're going to think about where Jesus was born. Jesus was born, you might know, in the city of Bethlehem. And I've put up a picture here of what Bethlehem might have looked like then, and parts of it still look like it today because it's an ancient city. Here's Bethlehem on a map. It was about, not even a whole day's walk from Jerusalem. We have 4 different books of the Bible that tell us about Jesus's life. The Advent stories we know best for most of us come from Matthew and Luke. They're the stories the books of the Bible that tell us most about Jesus's birth and childhood. And they say that Jesus was born in Bethlehem. Mark and John don't say where Jesus was born at all. But when he's an adult, they say he's Jesus of Nazareth. Maybe that means they think he was born in Nazareth, but it could just mean that he's born in Bethlehem and grows up in Nazareth, or spends a lot of time in Nazareth during his childhood, right? Lots of us are born one place and live other places. So I don't think we should consider that too confusing. So when we tell the Christmas story, the Advent story of Jesus's birth, then what we usually do is say that Bethlehem is where that happened. What was Bethlehem like back then? Well, if you use the Hebrew translation of the word, it means city of bread. If you use the Arabic translation, it means city of meat. Either way, we get the idea that it was a city of food. Maybe there was a lot of agriculture there, I think. If you look at other stories from the Bible, in the Hebrew Bible, or Christians call the Old Testament, it's where Rachel, who was a very important figure in the early part of the Bible, where she died, and it's where Ruth lived. You can hear stories about Ruth just by listening to a few Sundays ago when Derek preached on the story of Ruth. It's also the place where we think of King David as being from. And when he became king, when he was anointed king, he was anointed king in the city of Bethlehem. And one of his sons, Solomon, built very near Bethlehem, on the road between Bethlehem and Hebron, this beautiful pool, and it helped transport water between those two places. It's really a very, very large pool to preserve water, make sure that people had water to use. If you visit Bethlehem today, you might still go see Solomon's pools that are there. So why was Jesus born in Bethlehem? Well, different stories tell us different reasons. The book of Matthew seems to imply that his parents lived in Bethlehem, whereas Luke makes it sound like they were traveling to Bethlehem. Maybe they had lived there but had moved away, or something else. There's a lot we don't know. The stories about Jesus's birth are pretty short. In Luke, we're told that there was a census being taken where the king wanted to count up everybody who lived in his kingdom. And to do the count, you were supposed to go back to your hometown. Well, both Joseph and Mary were from the house of David. That means they both considered David to be an ancestor in their family. And so both Joseph and Mary were part of the house of David. And so they would have gone to David's city, Bethlehem, to be counted. So maybe that's why they were there. It's also something important for us to recognize, which is that people who later, when Jesus was an adult, were looking for a hero to rescue them. from the Roman oppression that they faced, those people were expecting their hero to come from the house of David. And maybe that would mean that that person was born in Bethlehem. So there are a lot of people who wanted to believe that Jesus was born in Bethlehem because they wanted Jesus to be their hero. The city of Bethlehem becomes so important to people who are worshiping Jesus, to Christians today who follow Jesus. We have lots of songs about it. You might know the song Once in Royal David's City. That's a song about Bethlehem, or the song O Little Town of Bethlehem. And sometimes you'll hear both of those songs or sing both of those songs around this time of year. Well, Bethlehem is still important to Christians today. In fact, it's been important to Christians since about the 300s. So for about, a long time now, almost 2,000 years, almost since Jesus's birth. For almost that long, Christians have been pilgrimaging to Bethlehem. That means traveling to Bethlehem to worship there and to remember Jesus. One of the oldest Christian churches in the world is there. It's called the Church of Nativity. Nativity means birth, especially the birth of Jesus. And that church was built in the 500s. Today, there's a bunch of different Christian groups that worship there and share the space there and take care of it together. And so even if many different kinds of Christians can go there and worship. And if you ever get to go to Bethlehem, that would be a pretty special experience. Well, I hope you learned a little bit about Bethlehem today. If you have more questions about it, you can ask me, you can ask Pastor Derek, you can share your question with another grown-up and they can help you find it and answer maybe on the internet or a book with in the library. We'd love to help you learn more about this part of the Advent story.